Hello everyone, I'm John Cassity, and today we are touring the Madison Seminary. The Madison Seminary was built in 1847 and served as a high school and college. These original structures still stand and are known as the Civil War side of the building. That is what we are walking through right now. In 1859, a brick structure was added, providing a boarding hall for about 150 students. This addition was due to a rising amount of students over the years. The building served the needs of students from 1847 until July of 1891. It was an institute for higher education like doctors and lawyers, and students graduated at the age of 16. We will learn some more history as we venture into the other building. Coming up here is the stairs for the Civil War building, which we'll be going up in just a few moments. One of the Madison home's most notable residents was Elizabeth Stiles. Born and raised in East Ashtabula, she worked as a teacher and seamstress in Chicago for 9 years before meeting and marrying Jacob Stiles. The company moved to Kansas in the late 1850s, where Elizabeth continued to work as a teacher and was not shy about sharing her pro-union views in the politically divided new state. One evening, a group of strangers visited their house and killed Jacob on the spot. The men turned out to be Quantrill's Raiders, pro-Confederate guerrillas that included young Jesse and Frank James. Several months later, Elizabeth was recruited by Abraham Lincoln to spy for the North. She sometimes disguised herself as a Southern grandmother looking for her wounded father of her granddaughter, who was actually Elizabeth's 13-year-old daughter, Clara, and other times worked as a nurse in Confederate hospitals. Stiles was once arrested in Jefferson City, Missouri, under suspicion of being a Union spy. By the time the interrogation was over, she had convinced the Confederate officer that she was really a rebel spy. Before releasing her, he gave her a horse and a better gun. Elizabeth's work as a spy ended in 1864 when her identity had become known. She was cared for by her son until 1895 when she moved into the Madison home. She lived here until her death, until 1898. as you can see, this upstairs area was set up to look like it did when the Women's Relief Corps lived here, which we will learn more about here in a little bit. So now we're heading into the basement of the 1800s building. So that was the Civil War side of the building. Now we are walking through the walkthrough to go see the newer side of the building that was built by the Women's Relief Corps. When the building closed as a school in 1891, it was quickly bought by Madison Township. Lake County Administrator Kenneth Goddard had wanted to demolish the structure at this time, as it did not meet any codes. Thankfully, Not long after the county took ownership, the building was sold on November 10th, 1891, and had become the Madison home, purchased and owned by the Women's Relief Corps. The home was remodeled and a new wing was added in order to house the Civil War Army nurses as well as the wives, mothers, and sisters of soldiers. Right here was the kitchen and where the women would get served their food. And this was the dumbbell waiter, which ran up through the whole entire building. And here was some bathrooms. So being the building is very old, it has a lot of rumors of being haunted. And in this room coming up, there was a rumor there was a woman buried in the floor. When the ghost hunters filmed here, they had a budget of $1 million. And one of the things they wanted to do was see if there was actually a woman buried in this floor, as the rumor stated. So they spent lots of money digging up the floor and hired in a couple different dogs from different police stations. And all the dogs sniffed out and said that there was, a body down there. And they found a small, anomaly, but they never found an actual body. So there could still be one down there, or it could have been removed, but it's still a very scary thing. So this room here is when the building was used as a police station. This is where they would put the drunk people. Coming up here is the laundry room. And in this closet here was the laundry chute for the whole entire building, which I thought was pretty cool. For how old it is, it was in really good shape. So now we're going to be making our way upstairs. And actually, these stairs were added later on. The original stairs went up like a V, as you'll see at certain spots. So when the building was used as a police station, this is where you would like go in and pay your tickets and stuff. You'd come right up here to this window and pay your dues and stuff. Up here was a room that was set up to look like the superintendent's office, but they actually found out the superintendent's office was across the hall, which I'll show you where the original one was in a little bit. In 1904, the Women's Relief Corps had donated the building to the state, hoping for it to be taken over rather than left to rot. The building sat vacant for years until June 30th, 1962, when it was taken over by the Ohio Department of Mental Hygiene and Corrections. During the 1960s, it was renamed as Opportunity Village. The structure was then used to house select honor inmates from the Women's Reformatory in Marysville. These inmates would work here as staff. The building had also functioned as an extension of Apple Creek State Hospital to house disabled women, and had later joined with the Ohio Bureau of Vocational Rehab. This is when the building was rumored to be used as an asylum. People that drove by the building said they seen women in the top floor windows waving at them. And as you will see when we go up to the top floor, it's very small up there. So coming up here is what was actually the superintendent's office, and then we're going to see the apartment of the superintendent and his family. So his desk would have been in the back there by that window, and then his secretary had a desk right here. And then up here was the dining room of the superintendent and his family, and we'll see that on the other side here. This was the bathroom that the family would have used. Not very big, but functional. That's where, when it was used as a police station, the police would turn in their evidence and like guns and badges and stuff. Here was the dining room. And now we're seeing parts of the living room that was the family's. And sadly, it was either this room or the next room over, somebody had hung themselves at one time. So now we're going to be making our way up to the third floor. So right here to the left, you can kind of see where the original stairs were. And then like under on the floor there was like a board. And that's where the stairs originally went up. And another sad story, someone else hung themselves in this bathroom here. They were told that by the police station. In 1964, the building would merge with Cleveland State Hospital and had become an extension of that as well. In this room here is a dental chair, and I was told they would put that into the freezer and then strap down the patients to it to put them into shock when they were doing dental treatments. Opportunity Village closed for good in 1975, and the building would come to serve numerous purposes thereafter. It had been said that when the police took over the property during the 1980s, that all the furniture and various decorations were burned in a large bonfire behind the building. The building remained in use by the police until the early 1990s, when a newspaper ad went up reading, "For rent, historic building can be leased cheap. Caution, building may be haunted." When the show Destination Fear was filmed here, this is one of the rooms they slept in. Another famous resident of the seminary was Blanche Jacobs. 32 years old at the time, she murdered her neighbors, and her husband was a major of the Air Force. She got lucky and was sent to the seminary instead of a normal prison. When the building was used as a police station, this is the room they used for interrogations. There was two-way glass in that hole there. So now we are making our way up to the fourth and final floor of the building, and this is the floor that was said to be used as an asylum. Lots of scary stories have came from here, including a little girl who said that her mom worked here and she came up here one time and she took a peek from under her mother's dress and seen a bunch of women that just looked like chickens pecking at their bowls, but they were actually getting the medicine from the nurses. This open area here would have been possibly where the patients would have stayed during the daytime. From what most of the records said, they were never really allowed to leave from this floor up here. And then also there's some rooms, but most likely each room or this whole room was lined with different cots because facilities at the time wanted to get the most patients because that was the way they got the most money. So coming up over here is the windows that I was talking about that people from the road used to say they seen women waving from these windows. And you can see how small these windows are. So it just shows that the women weren't just waving out of these windows for fun. They were locked up here. So over here is what's meant to be known as the patient's rooms of the asylum. Here was like the doctor's office. And as you're walking through this floor and these rooms, there's a very strong tension. You can definitely tell bad things went on up here. So that's going to conclude my video tour and documentary of the Madison Seminary. The Madison Seminary was purchased in 2016 by Adam Kimmel, who has been working to make the building a time capsule, doing what is necessary to preserve its life and its stories. As of 2020, tours and private ghost hunts and public ghost hunts are available. With the increasing risk of urbex, it was really nice to go to a place that was no risk and take my time, and I had the whole building to myself, and I very much appreciate the time I had here. I would like to thank Adam and Denise, who made this tour possible, and also my dad for coming with me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to make more videos like it. Thank you for watching, everyone.